Yeah, I think that series is a little bit closer than like a 3-1 scoreline typically leads to, and G1, they've conquered a lot of their demons. This is their highest placing as of yet. They don't want this train to stop now, so they've got to overcome this Sentinels roster if they want to find themselves in the grand finals. And Sentinels coming off that loss from Optic. That was a tough one, a pill to swallow, but if anybody can rebound, I feel like it is this Sentinels team.
Well, the only game type that features from that previous series between these two teams was the Slayer live fire, and it was Sentinels won that one 50-43. So that bodes pretty well that they have a Slayer on their side. We also do not see a capture the flag. We don't see a Catalyst, and we don't see an Aquarius. That is both of these teams' best game types. This is going to be a very interesting series, but starting things off with Oddball here on Streets. Let's see what Sentinels can do, bouncing back from that initial winners bracket loss.
SnakeBite's got to step up and have a big series if he wants to find his team into the grand finals. He steps up, he picks up a kill, he picks up the ball, relocates to back tower, and it's an early advantage as Slays come through for Sentinels here in game one.
Rocket control as well, Wes, and you can see Royal 2 doesn't really know at the moment where he needs to be focusing. He's got so much room on the map. He got the communication that Pink Street was where he needed to be holding, and at least he got one. SnakeBite, the last remaining player, will be able to pick up a little bit of extra ball time, but I like this. Try and give yourself the chance to at least get some damage on these players, flushing you out of PD.
Unfortunately, SnakeBite can't quite take down Swish. It was a thrust backwards that made it a little bit more difficult of a kill. And because of that, because Royal 2 only able to get one with those rockets, the setup, it's broken, and now G1 gonna have an opportunity to get right back into this one. It was only a 23-point setup for Sentinels early on, and now G1 with an opportunity to potentially take the lead.
With 2 being dead, G1 are just being patient. I like that as well. Swish saying, look, I'm not going to risk picking up this ball and being vulnerable to grenades because I'm weak. Instead, he waited a little bit, ensure that the rest of the team are in a comfortable position, and then continue to score. With bubu dubu going down, though, now Sentinels can push up.
Great teamwork out of Sentinels there to finish off bubu dubu. It was Frosty and another angle from the tires location doing a couple of the pieces of damage to him, and as they got that kill, they once again break the setup. It was a 21-point setup for G1, so very similar setups and opportunities here given to each team respectively, but it is going to be Sentinels now with the ball in hand and an opportunity to build this lead. Once again, there's going to be pressure from the Cafe onto Royal 2, wisely backing down, and then these kills are crucial because rockets are coming up here momentarily.
Yeah, they are coming up. LethuL last remaining player, but one thing he's very good at doing is that dirty work, and sometimes it's about surviving, it's about trying to find that kill when you are the last remaining player as well. I will say there's a lot of factors in this game that are outside of the actual in-game mechanics. You've got to think this is the furthest we've seen G1 ever get. Will the pressure get to them now they're in an elimination bracket final? Are Sentinels going to be a bit annoyed that they lost to Optic previously? Are their focuses on Optic rather than G1? All these things do come into the equation as we get further into this, but Frosty will pick up one onto Swish, and now Sentinels are still scoring.
These two teams did scrim earlier this week, and I do believe it heavily went into Sentinels' favor. That's got to give them confidence, but they do know that this is a different G1 perhaps coming off a win against Cloud9, something that they haven't done yet, creating those upsets, finding themselves in the elimination bracket. You absolutely know Sentinels' focus is on this G1 roster, and rightfully so, because they have been playing so well all weekend long, and right now are looking to take the first round. They're still down about 20 points, but they've had so many good opportunities at a setup. All they need is one round of Slays to take the lead.
And even when they did face each other in the winners bracket finals, the games were close between these two teams. It was a 3-1 victory for Sentinels overall, but it was only maybe about 6 or 7 kills separating them in Slayers, a couple of flags here or there, 1 or 2 objectives on King of the Hill. It wasn't an easy ride for Sen whatsoever. And I think G1 know that if they can just get those clutch moments, if they can just get those extra couple of kills, that will really be able to propel them and their chances of winning this completely. But now every single time that there are some big kills that happen on one side of the map, Sentinels still be able to find themselves having this ball and really picking up some very important time.
LethuL's got to get that kill, can't. And because he isn't able to achieve that kill, you have to think Sentinels' setup is going to get broken here, but the rotation does come through, so a good heads-up play by the rest of Sentinels to rotate that ball to tower. Are they going to be able to play it? Unfortunately, the answer is no. SnakeBite Roll 2, they go down, and now that respawns are staggered, rockets are coming up. G1 should have ball in hand in the tram as well as rockets, and this is Squallaye's opportunity to extend this lead.
Nice double. It's a confident push with the Rockets. As you say, now they can set up G1, and they really just have to concentrate on a big point-scoring method here, because they really can acquire a lot of time if they can catch a couple of members unaware here from Sentinel. SnakeBite pushes in first. Frosty does at least respond, but now all the information is there for bubu to push up on if he wants to.
Roll 2's got to stay alive in that situation. Squallaye trying to finish that one off. Averts his attention over to LethuL. LethuL does a great job to get on the Squallaye there to find that kill, and that's opened the door for Frosty to get in here and break this setup. Once again, a phenomenal job of Sentinels to break the G1 setup. If you're G1, you're probably pretty frustrated given the fact that you've had so many opportunities at a good setup, but they haven't really amounted to much, and just like that, the lead back in Sentinels' favor.
It was just the amount of time that Sentinels were able to get at the start of the game. LethuL going down does mean it's a 3 versus 4 here, though. Frosty having the Bulldog is so important for this defense. He can do a lot of damage when these teams start to push him, when these players start to push him, excuse me. Here comes Squallaye trying to do some damage, but unfortunately, here comes Frosty as well. It's a big double, and it could definitely be more if he can connect, but bubu holds strong.
One more shot would have done it for the triple kill from Frosty, but bubu puts him down, awards his team a little bit of space and map control of the ball. It's neutralized right now, and a good job by SnakeBite to take down bubu, who had those power weapons Frosty once had. Kills across the board. As time not going to be a factor here in round 1, Dan. It's 89-77. The next team with a realistic setup that gets 1 round of slays is going to end this one.
Ball gets reset as well. That really changes what's going to happen in these final moments. Sen are going to be able to grab it. SnakeBite just nips in, picks it up, and is going to get some more scrappy time. And if he can survive, but he can't, he does get taken down. Only 6 points required. 3 members have fallen from Sentinels, make it 4, thanks to Swish hitting the perfect 4. He Swish 5s back in Halo 5, but now he Swish 4s.
Swish 4s, and at a perfect time, Rockets are up. The ball rotated perfectly from bubu's point of view into Tram, and now 13 points is all they need. If they can secure these Rockets, that would be big, but bubu is going to force Sentinels' hands now. SnakeBite is able to find those Rockets, tries to force his way towards the ball, can't quite get the rocket damage. It's a difficult angle to achieve that, and bubu wisely knows that he's got to get a couple of kills if they want to end this one.
He's the last remaining player, or was the last remaining player, but we have seen Sentinels and Royal 2 just sneak in, pick up that ball time, and Royal 2, whilst bubu was trying to hold down for his dear life, Sentinels will take round 1 here, and it was very close between these two teams. It comes down to one last push here from Sentinels.
Such a tough position for bubu. He ends up playing the ball down into the bottom of Tram, and Royal 2 picks up just 6 seconds in the round, but it's the 6 seconds that matter the most. They win Sentinels round 1 of game 1 here in our elimination bracket finals. In the meantime, though, it is going to be bubu who's won the battle for Rockets, but Frosty flying at him denies those Rockets from even being used, and now with all 4 dead, Sentinels are going to be able to pick up those Rockets, get the ball, and we're looking at another very big opportunity for Sentinels to gain an early lead.
Yeah, Stalker Rifle, Rockets, Ball, and Bulldog means that Sentinels have everything you could ever imagine. SnakeBite does get the kill onto Swish with the Rockets, and it was a good start from G1. They use that drop ball, they get the Rockets, but unfortunately, it was an aggressive counter push coming out from Sentinels to ensure they shut down those Rockets ASAP, but PreDevoNatoR manages to get 2, could make it 3, but no, of course, Frosty shuts him down.
What a route by PreDevoNatoR. He doesn't get seen. He goes up, bottom, middle, over towards the tires block, jumps into tires behind Frosty, finds 2, and that's broken the Sentinel setup. What was once going to be the big opportunity for Sentinels, with all of that power curve increase, is denied from G1. It's only another 23 points, the exact same result as last round.
Ball is down in Arcade, and I think 3 members with G1 were down. Squallaye, if he didn't get that kill, it would have been all 4 dead, but never mind, all 4 dead anyway. Spawns happening over towards Tram. Sentinels should be able to get this ball away if LethuL can dash his way into PD, which he does.
Good rotation.
Very good rotation. It's something we've always commended LethuL on, is his objective work, his dirty work. But I've got to say, this tournament long, LethuL has been so good. He has impressed me so much from Kansas City into this event. Maybe a kick up the backside after all the things that have happened, but he definitely has been one of the biggest impressors from event to event.
I've been hearing it. LethuL's starting to step it up, and what does that mean for the Sentinels roster? Maybe they didn't have the success there in the winners bracket finals, but a consistent level of LethuL playing at a very high level would mean everything to the Sentinels roster going into Orlando, going into Worlds, for their opportunity to be a 3-time World Championship squad. But for now, you got to focus on the Super. You got to focus on the series. 56-12 here in round 2. Sentinels have done a good job to build that lead. It's behind 63 points from LethuL, 86 from SnakeBite, the two objective players on the squad doing the best.
Plenty of time on the clock. As you said, it's not going to become a factor, most likely again, as both teams have been picking up the ball when it is available. There hasn't been too many standoffs. Here comes the push from Sentinels. It's pink side attacking again. This is a bit of push they've liked and enjoyed, but it's not going to work out on this occasion, mainly because bubu had the Bulldog to counter them. LethuL does get a couple of kills that are going his way, but eventually gets collapsed on, and now all 4 dead for Sen. So this is a really good opportunity for G1 to pick up some time.
Yeah, bubu picks up 3 there. Allows this setup to still become a reality for G1 right now, and a lot of information on a lot of different players from Sentinels. They're all weak. Can bubu finish off a couple more? The ball rotation towards Tram is the idea for G1. Can they get it there? A good flank from bubu, a relocation, but it's only going to get him 1. And Frosty gets that kill. Can he stop the ball carrier now? Beautiful job by SnakeBite above rail to be able to deny this one from getting into Tram. And what was going to be a very successful rotation is shut down by SnakeBite.
Well, I think that there could have been a lot of time for G1 if it weren't for the fact Sen spawned over towards PD. Because G1 committed so heavily to combat that P push, they left open those spawns. Sen were more than happy to see where they were respawning onto the map, and they were able to punish G1 ever so slightly and not allow them to rotate. SnakeBite goes down, rockets are about to come up, but there is still a lead for Sen, but all 4 did just go down.
3 dead once again, and G1, it's not a matter of can you get set up, it's can you hold the setup. That's the question. Rockets are coming up as well. They should have a favorable position in order to compete for these. They're not going to worry about ball time for now. They're going to drop that ball and understand how important these rockets can be into holding a setup easier.
It's difficult to know which way you want to travel when you do have rockets. You just want to try and get involved in an engagement where you have the high ground, so those rockets are going to land onto the floor. The splash damage will work out, and you don't get hit with any sort of duff rockets that you're trying to fire upward. And there's going to be 2 for 2, so good work from Squallaye. LethuL going down means it's a 4 versus 3, and even though they're trying to push through the middle here, it doesn't look like it's going to be successful this time around for Sentinels.
And that was a great rotation from Squallaye with those rockets right. He finds one over towards the shotgun, immediately understands that Sentinels members are pushing towards Arcade, towards that B Stronghold location. He relocates, he finds another kill, swings momentum into his team's advantage, and now, all of a sudden, G1 with the lead, looking to close the door on round 2.
G1 have the lead, but here's the push from Sentinels. They get that initial kill. Royal 2 also followed up with 1. They have to play the ball out of PD. They know that they're just going to get absolutely sandwiched if they sit in there and hold on to that ball. The sandwich is still going to happen, but can they get enough damage for their respawners? There's 1 kill at the bare minimum, but Sentinels do start scoring again.
It's a SnakeBite sandwich, and Royal 2, he's had every bit of it. He's able to get that ball, 10 points down, but Sentinels looking to take the lead here. It's going to be up to G1 to see if they have what it takes to break the setup.
Nice shots from Royal 2, just a couple of warning shots, but he realizes he has to get that ball away from G1. Needs to make them travel a little bit further, make them work a little bit harder to break this setup. Great trade from LethuL, making sure he doesn't go down first, but instead take someone's life with him. This is fantastic from Sentinels.
What a rotation from Royal 2. He began this in PD, gets it all the way to back tower, throws it to his teammate Frosty. Throws it to another teammate down the shotgun. They get it all the way to Tram, but now, look at this. Stand the Slays have come through from G1. They've caught up to the train, and because of that, they now have the ball in hand with only 8 points to go.
Here comes the push, though. Sentinels, they've got one last roll of the dice here. Can anyone get in a position? 2 more seconds are required. Any god nades? No. G1 tie up this first map 1-1. And even though it was looking dominant for Sentinels in the early stages, G1, some of their holds were fantastic.
Sometimes these rotations are just not paying off. You need to focus on slaying. The rotation was beautiful from Sentinels, but eventually G1 was able to make up the ground, make up the difference, and with it, they were able to use it to their advantage. They brought the ball into Tram, and now we're looking at a 3rd round here. What Sentinels fans were thinking was not going to happen is the case. But all is well here at the start of round 3. At the very least, LethuL has found themselves some rockets.
When you talk about those rotations, I think if it were at the start of the game, it would have been fantastic. It's a delay tactic. It's so that they can't get as much ball time, G1, but because G1 was so close to winning that round anyway, of course, they secured those 100 points. And maybe it's about just getting out of those habits and recognizing what kind of situation you're in. Saying, hey, okay, we're in the late game. We can't afford to give up the ball, give up a setup here, so we have to fight tooth and nail to do as much damage as possible.
Right, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. But right now, another 34-point lead. Sentinels have started these rounds off so well. This is the best round as of yet for them. to start this one off. Another rotation came through as the Oddball, and this time around it's going to work out for Sentinels. Although they're starting to lose members, the ball continuing to be on the move, and they've got 39 points to back it up.
Yeah, it's a really solid lead for Sen, but they just need to keep building on it. Now, we see them quite often just kind of nip in, steal the ball, and rotate away from G1. If they can continue to do that, this is going to be a really difficult round for that roster in blue. Squallaye should go down, will go down, and SnakeBite very good in just holding his ground there and holding his angles.
Great attempt from Squallaye to play his life there. Almost gets the kill, and now Swish 5 in a 1v2, going to try and make the best play. Unfortunately, just too many members to try and combat, but Devin, he's late to the party. He still gets a kill, though. Can he get two? That would have been something special. He's been something to watch this weekend as he gets taken down. Squallaye, one by one. You see the G1 members trickling in. They do get a favorable spawn in order to potentially compete for this Oddball. No time getting additional in the hands of Sentinels, but you have to think the G1 are going to have to win a couple of slays here in the tram if they want to come back in this one.
Devin does it again. I think that could have been a triple. Tries to get a little bit more, but without Devin's kills previously, that could have been so much ball time for Sentinels. His aggression, his confidence is what's keeping G1 in this round right now. Devin gets another onto LethuL, and he's got the rockets. Doesn't connect, but has he already done enough damage? It's allowing the rest of the team to push up now.
Yeah, and in the meantime, they're holding on to the ball, right? Every one of these seconds is crucial in the manifesting this comeback. Unfortunately, they're starting to lose a couple of these members, and Squallaye, he recognizes he's got to drop the ball and try and slay. He does a good job to stay alive here. Ends up getting a trade with Frosty. That's not the worst case scenario, but where is the rest of G1? Are they going to be able to compete for this ball?
Bubu knows where LethuL is, but LethuL knows where Bubu is, and it's just a standoff that eventually both players will back down for, and unfortunately LethuL backs down into PreDevoNatoR, who currently has 28 kills and is playing like a man who is confident in every battle. He's taking engagements left, right, and center. He wants fights at the moment, and it's so brilliant to have a player like that on your team.
Yeah, everybody on this G1 roster has been lights out so far today. Devin on screen getting a nice kill onto Frosty, but Frosty gets a double with that plasma. Not only does he stick Devin, he takes down Squallaye as well due to the positioning being so close, and that could be the opening the Sentinels need to once again extend their lead. They have the ball in the back of Tram, and look at this is going to be at least another 10 seconds going to Sentinels.
And I'm glad we're on Frosty's POV, because we've not really mentioned the 35 kills he currently has. Frosty and those kind of stick doubles, those are the kind of things that can make or break your team as well. They can really destroy the momentum of your opposition when you get things like that. SnakeBite, last remaining player, just about stays alive, has done the damage, just needs to wait for the rest of the team now. Doesn't need to get too aggressive too quickly, but they are searching for him. But oh, SnakeBite denies the kill, and SnakeBite is being such a thorn in the side right now.
Stays alive still. Swish tries to hunt him down, can't quite finish him, and the movement from SnakeBite is too nice. As he stays alive, he finds success on the two members of G1, and that could be where the door to game one gets shut. Rockets in the hands of LethuL. Frosty picking up another one, 36 to his name. The quietest 36 you could imagine. But I guarantee you, if we watch the entire game from his point of view, it's been a very impressive performance.
The Bulldog in Frosty's hands, so that 37, I'm sure, is going to increase very quickly. LethuL gets the kill with a rocket, and there is Frosty increasing, but with assists, as LethuL gets the finish on the bubu dubu. Ball will be reset. I think that's maybe good news for G1, because Sentinels were in a position where they could potentially capitalize from its previous position, and now G1 spawning over towards the Bulldog. They are going to have the closest and first opportunity to grab that ball.
G1 are still in this for now. It's a 30-point game. They just need to hold a setup, right? They have the ball, they get it to back tower. Everything going right now for G1. You just got to get a couple rounds of slays here, stop the pushes from Sentinels, something they haven't had as much success as they want so far. And losing bubu dubu first to LethuL is not what you want to see in order to be able to hold this setup. It is going to be Frosty with a delay push through the tires. What kind of success is he going to have as he finds the first on the DevoNatoR?
Frosty's movement at the moment is incredible. Just doing a lot of damage, but unfortunately teammates fell around him, almost managed to connect with those Bulldog shots. LethuL will come in to at least clean up the pieces. Very important as the last remaining player that you're at least able to kill that initial one shot. Otherwise, you are going to be at such a disadvantage. So LethuL doing really well to listen to those callouts and push in, but then also back off to stay alive long enough for his team to respawn, and still LethuL's alive.
Swish is still alive too. They hunt him down. Eventually, Frosty puts the 39th on the board, and the setup is broken, but it's a 14-point game. Not that bad for G1 fans. They got to get some kills to deny some ball time going in the hands of Sentinels. They get those kills as well. SnakeBite gets taken down, trades across the board. 3 dead for Sentinels, and all of a sudden G1, they can push this to a round 3.
G1 definitely can, especially if they can get this ball into Tram, which bubu dubu does. Rockets are up though. This could be arguably one of the worst times to have control because of course you are a man down technically, but look what bubu's doing. He's trying to get as much vision as possible, relay that information to the rest of the team, but now with 2 going down already, bubu the last remaining player, Rockets are going to be in the hands of Sentinels and they are quickly going to take that ball away from bubu dubu.
The ball doesn't get played. It's in a favorable position for Sentinels to potentially pick up, but they're going to try and slay. They think members of G1 are close. They are closing the distance, and LethuL finding a kill onto Squallaye opens the door to PD. And now you can guarantee that Sentinels are going to get that ball in there. It's just a matter of G1 coming off respawn now. They have 3 dead. Bubu Dubu, the last one alive. He's in a battle against LethuL. They end up trading, and that's a successful trade from LethuL that will award Sentinels even further ball time.
Yeah, a really good trade for Sentinels because the spawns are staggered ever so slightly for G1. Frosty just gets that ball out of their midst. A lot of damage being done with a Sentinel beam. Enough for the players on spawn over towards KotH to also continue with their domination of shots. But 3 are dead for Sentinels. This is G1's chance.
This is the moment. G1 has to hold this setup here. Stalker rifle in Bubu Dubu's hands. Everybody on Sentinel spawning in the back of Tram towards the brew grenades. Bubu Dubu with Bulldog as well. 37 to his name as well. He needs to extend that scoreline if he wants to win this round. Push this to a round 3, and that first kill onto LethuL is a big one.
G1 will take the lead, but here comes the push. PreDevoNatoR goes down. It's now a 3 versus 2, but here's bubu dubu in prime position with the Stalker rifle. Frosty has to push him, but Frosty knows he also has the Bulldog as well. Good damage from Frosty as he wins that fight. Sentinels have the ball, but SnakeBite gets taken down. This is going to be absolute carnage. 84 to 83, and only 15 seconds remaining.
The clock will stop if the ball is controlled, but right now Squallaye has to stay alive. He gets knocked to half shield. He knows he's got players around him. He's going to have to figure out a way to get a couple of kills. They get the lead momentarily by just 1 second. 2 members of Sentinels are back here. The numbers are going to favor G1 in this opportunity, but Rockets in the hands of Frosty could be what they need, but they don't get to the ball in time. And it's G1 that somehow, some way close it out, and that was round 3, Dan. That is G1 taking the game. And what an ending. What an absolute, like you said, absolute carnage at the end of that game. Everyone forcing their influence into the late game, but G1 coming out on top.
What an absolute belter of a game. Ignore that, it's wrong.
Okay.
It was a G1 victory. Don't panic.
I'm panicking.
G1 able to close out just with that extra second or 2 they were able to pick up in those final moments, and then unfortunately for Sentinels not able to grab that ball. G1 will win map number 1. And considering how far they were behind in a couple of those rounds, you've got to give credit where credit is due. Bubu Dubu, 39 kills, and even though Frosty had 45 frags, unfortunately not enough for Sentinels to get the victory. And if that's anything to go by, we've got a very intense and interesting series on our hands.
Oh man, what a boost of adrenaline for G1 here. What a much needed win to say, hey, we belong in this series, right? What looked like was gonna be Sentinels kind of easing their way through game 1, all of a sudden somewhere along the way, G1 do just enough to stay in it, to push it to a round 3, and then they make the plays needed. And what a play by Squallaye at the end there to make sure you secure the lead, but more importantly, make sure you stay alive and are there to influence the last round of slaves, because that's what it came down to.
A lot of players would have jumped on that ball early, got that second as soon as possible, and then given away their position, potentially given a little bit more time to your opposition. But he was patient. He waited for his shields, he stayed alive, he got that time once he was comfortable, and then that toss of the ball over towards PD was enough for it to be too far for Sentinels to get their hands on it. And I think Sentinels will be a little bit frustrated because they did get the slays, and unfortunately it was time that bettered them in the end rather than kills. And I think as we watch back in these highlights and we see these final moments, we are going to see what an important toss of the ball it was with only, 10 seconds remaining over towards PD.
Threw it out into the open, decided to slay. The rest of the boys show up, and it's everybody from G1 partying. And that one, it was 104 points from PreDev, but if you look at the objective time for everyone on G1, everyone contributed a large portion, and they needed every single second, Dan.
Now, if you are a Sentinels fan, don't panic too much.
I wouldn't
You've seen them lose Oddball many a time in a series. Slayer Livefire, We have also seen Sentinels already beat G1 in this tournament. It was 50-43. That being said, G1 seem to have improved every single series we've seen them in this tournament so far. They seem to be getting better and better. And if they are doing their homework, if they are learning from every opposition that they face, they should be better in this Slayer live fire than they were in those winners bracket quarterfinals or semifinals a couple of days ago or yesterday. At this point, these days are all merging together, KotH, so it's very difficult for me to remember. But Slayer live fire is game number 2. How are you feeling about this one? Do you think G1 can carry on their momentum?
Absolutely, they can. Do I think they will? I think the Sentinels team is too good to go down 2-0. I think that they're very aware of how strong this G1 team is. The game one, it slipped through their fingertips. Credit to G1 where credit is due. They are a phenomenal roster. If G1 want to make it to the grand finals, I think that this is almost a must win. You do not allow Sentinels to get back into this one, but let's let the players decide. And I'm putting my eyes on Frosty. A great game one. Can you give us more?
If Frosty can do what he just did in game 1, in game number 2, in a Slayer, then I'm sure we are going to witness a victory for Sentinels. But G1 also were doing very similar things on the other side. Here's the first engagement between Frosty and bubu, the two standout players from that first game. Bubu does get taken down, and Frosty still carrying on his dominance from map number 1.
Good play, good angle from Frosty, recognition, and SnakeBite's going to drop him off a gift for awarding that first kill. It's going to be an overshield going in the hands of Sentinels here early, it appears, as SnakeBite's able to secure it. Frosty with the snipe, everything goes gold for Sentinels at the start of this one.
I will say, I think bubu was everything that G1 needed, not just as a player and what he offers in-game, but also brings a fan base towards this G1 roster as well. I think there was a lot of followers of bubu and what he's achieved in previous iterations of Halo. You add that to 3 hard-working, absolutely incredible Halo players. This G1 roster has become a fan favorite very quickly. You are going up against one of the biggest fan bases in Halo, and that is Sentinels. But if you can quieten them down, if you can go 2-0 up here,
oh my,
suddenly things are looking great, but you turn a corner and suddenly 2 players of G1 are staring right at you.
Yeah, that overshield snipe combination and the control that Sentinels once had, it's immediately removed. G1 now have the lead, snipe in the hands of bubu. And it was a great play from Devin over at Green. We didn't really see everything from his point of view, but he was being such a nuisance to multiple members of Sentinels, and because he's able to stay alive, he's given this G1 roster an opportunity with a lead here early.
One of my favorite facts from KC was something along the lines, if LethuL gets more than 8 kills on one of the Slayers, Sentinels win like 95% of the time or something. And I know that LethuL was often a focus, maybe for more negative reasons, which was quite unfair considering they still won the tournament, they still played fantastically.
Yeah, I'm done with that.
But it does show that, you know, when LethuL gets involved and when he is playing at his very best, this Sentinels roster just goes to that extra level. They become even better, and they have certainly looked like that this tournament. Everyone has been firing on all cylinders. There has not been a weak link at all in my eyes.
And sometimes it doesn't matter if there's a weak link or not. Sometimes it's just a matter of players making plays, and players are making plays on the G1 side of the stage right now. 16-9. This lead starting to build. Overshield and snipe still in their control. And Devin, he hasn't missed a shot in what feels like a couple of series now. Looks to be aggressive.
18-10. It's starting to become quite a big lead here for G1. And that lead ever increasing, but this is better. Royal2 does get a double kill. bubu has the sniper rifle though. He can start with connecting some shots. It could really turn favor very heavily for G1 here. And there's the first. It's an easy one. Walk straight into it, but LethuL thankfully takes him down. Otherwise, things could have started to get out of hand for G1. LethuL trying his best to stay alive, but Swish now will get the rewarded with the heatwave.
And Swish already with 10 to his name, having a great game too here. One of the best up-and-coming players we have on the scene, giving this G1 roster so much slaying prowess. We saw how successful he was in game 1. Well, game 2, it looks very similar right now. Good job by Frosty to get that kill on the Devonator. Switch the heatwave control back into Sentinels' favor. And now look at this. G1 seems to be trapped in-house. This is a good position from Sentinels, but they need to find some kills.
Frosty knows bubu's there though. Bubu gets the body shot, and there comes the teamwork. Devin instantly jumps on it, instantly gets the kill. Squallaye also pushes out. They get 2 dead, and whilst they were trapped, suddenly they become trappies. They get to trap the Sentinels roster instead, and it's 28-18.
Not sure if that's how the English language works, Stan, but it worked for G1 here. Up 10 kills now. bubu with snipe back in his control. He's going to catch Frosty off guard. A great stick from Frosty to trade it out, but Trades aren't going to cut it at this point in time. You need to find a way to make up the difference here as G1 do approach that 30 kill mark. Great job by SnakeBite to get a couple more in this team's favor, but this overshield, you got to find some success with it, in my opinion, if you want Sentinels to come back.
You imagine it has to be now, right, with this overshield, otherwise things are going to start to get out of hand. But it's a fantastic opportunity. It's going to be a triple. Make it more if you want. No, Swish and the heat wave just shuts down Frosty in time. And even though Frosty gets a triple kill, still a 9-kill advantage here for G1. So what was a map that favored Sentinels in the previous time they matched up against each other suddenly is looking like a favorable one here for G1.
G1 with momentum. Throughout the day, they've built confidence, and with that confidence, can they take a 2-0 lead? They're in prime position to do so here in the elimination bracket final. Swish, with heat wave in hand, finds roll 2. A good sandwich once again from G1. Great teamwork coming through. A trade once again favoring Sentinels, but eventually you need to go on a little bit of a run here because these trades are going to get G1 closer and closer to that 50 kill mark.
Sentinels really need to get kind of an all 4 dead and at least 3 of them stay up so they can gain some map control and they can stop this momentum from rolling for this G1 roster. A Swish does get back smacked. Unfortunately here, little to do about that one, but suddenly what was a 10-kill game is now a 6-kill game. G1 cannot afford to kind of get flustered here, otherwise Sentinels will take advantage of it.
Sentinels control the pace of the game right now. It's something we've been waiting to see ever since G1 broke off to that 10-kill lead. It's 6, like you said. Who can find the next pick and how can you allow it to influence the rest of the score? Unfortunately, Royal 2, he gets caught out Keydor, and just 3 members of G1 down there. A lot of information for Royal 2 to be able to deliver, but do the kills come through? Here comes LethuL, here comes Frosty. They find a couple. But with Overshield coming up in 10, you need to find a couple more.
They need to get the kills and they need to get the Overshield to Sentinels. But if G1 can get control of the Overshield side, which currently they do, an Overshield could be enough to win them the game. Look at the push onto LethuL. Great repulsor just to stay alive. The assist does come through from SnakeBite, but LethuL eventually falls. Where does this Overshield end up? SnakeBite is going to get taken down by bubu. Frosty, though, is going to get very aggressive towards this, but he needs help ASAP.
Wait a minute. He gets up. He gets it. He activates it, and now it's Frosty's turn to see if he can do what it takes to keep Sentinels in this series. 38-42. A massive pickup of the Overshield by himself from Frosty here. Now he's looking for enemy players, but can't quite spot anyone Brute side. G1 get him down to no shield. Frosty has a big responsibility to stay alive. Drops down onto DevoNatoR. Finds the kill, but in the meantime, Swish trades it out for 2, and it's going to be a triple kill needed from Frosty. Can't get it, and Swish, with a beautiful Brute Grenade, extends the lead back to 5.
The amount of sticks we've seen in this series is nuts. LethuL tries to get the kill onto Swish to make it 46-42, but Swish stays alive, and just like that, it's 47-41, and this could be the beginning of the end of this map. G1 looking to get aggressive now. Got to be careful, though, because Sentinels were waiting. Frosty gets the kill. Still a 4-kill game, and it is not over yet. G1 just need to strategically plan this one.
Yeah, look at this route. They both go throughout the tunnel. Roll 2's going to have too many players around him in order to try and stay alive, and because of that, they've extended it 48-43, 49-43. bubu finds that 49th kill, and LethuL's by himself. Big door Squallaye. He's going to end it. 18 kills from Swish, 50 from the side of G1, and now G1 now in our elimination finals are up 2-0 over Sentinels.
The G1 train just is not stopping. There was a minor blip in the railway, and that blip was Sentinels in the winner's bracket, but it seems like they've been able to patch up all the metal they needed to, and they're rolling once more. Frosty did get 17 kills, but again, not enough for Sentinels. It was Swish on the side of G1. Swish, who has been this kind of main slayer for so long. Previously, when bubu wasn't on the roster, Swish was the guy.
Yeah.
And Swish still can be that guy. I think that's what's so exciting about this G1 roster. You've added yet another player who can be the guy. DevoNatoR's the guy sometimes. Squallaye's the guy.
I was about to say,
they're all the guy.
You don't beat Sentinels without 4 guys. This roster stacked from top to bottom. They've been making plays all weekend long. There's a reason that they find themselves up 2-0 here in the elimination finals. It's because they have found a roster that works. They have found 4 players that can take them to the promised land. That's the grand finals, Dan, and now just 1 game away.
Are we starting to see a few names that we are going to continue to see tournament in, tournament out in the latter stages of HCS competition? Sometimes it's about passing of the guard, and even though, of course, this is just online competition.
Yeah, don't get crazy.
And, you know, LANs will still happen. But Squallaye, Swish, PreDevoNatoR, I think we're going to start to see them a lot more in the latter stages of competition as the years go by. And with bubu alongside them, with his experience and his veteranship, this is a very, very exciting roster indeed. As for Sentinels, they find themselves 2-0 down. It's not impossible that they get back into it. They've had reverse sweeps before. They've got back into into grand finals before. But it is a long road when you are 2-0 down.
It's a long road, but if you expect it from anyone, you expect it from these guys. One game at a time mentality. They've done it before so many times in the past. But do they have it in them today is the question. Frosty's giving them everything he can. Statistically, it looks good on a screen every time we go to it, but just something not right with Sentinels, and sometimes you're just having an off day. Is it a championship Sunday that we see Sentinels have that off day? Not very often. But today, they haven't looked like that championship caliber team, but it could just be a Strongholds Recharge that turns that story and flips it on its head.
Now, statistically, this is one of Sentinels' worst game types. I think it is their worst Strongholds game type out of them all. But maybe throw those stats out of the window now, because Sentinels are going to be fired up. They're going to be very angry that they're 2-0 down in this series, and they know full well if they want a stab at Optic Gaming, then it needs to begin here, and they need to play better than they have been. Even though they've been throwing everything at G1, it's just been a few moments here or there that have gone in favor of G1. As on the flip side, for G1, they are one map away from a grand final here in the HCS NA Super. We were touting them, some people were touting them for, you know, maybe top 4, maybe top 3. Suddenly, a grand final, G1 is very much possible here. What a moment it is for some of these players and their careers. Sentinels have got to shut them down here, otherwise we will be seeing G1 versus Optic in that grand final.
Let's kick it off with Frosty, the MVP. Step up or get out of the way. A fast push into pipes, killing the bubu, but you think it's coming through. But the newcomer for G1 makes a play that potentially can give G1 a little bit of life to kick this game 3 off.
This is not the start you want to see if you're a Sentinels fan. Squallaye manages to get the initial one. It's a trip cap. It's already points being scored. It's camouflage. It's shock rifle. Everything there for G1. Sentinels cowering in a corner at the moment, waiting for spawns, waiting and trying to plan. What do we do when your backs are against the wall like this? If anyone could do it, it can be Sentinels as Squallaye does go down.
It looked like a very promising position there for Squallaye and the rest of G1. Somehow, right out of the trip cap, Sentinels able to get a couple of kills, able to transfer not only A over, but B over. It is 45 points awarded to G1, but it's an A-B hold now for Sentinels.
A-B hold is something that Optic have just focused on. They very rarely were pushing for the trip cap when they played against Sentinels, so have Sentinels maybe learned a little thing from playing against Optic earlier on in this tournament. bubu trying to get an entry frag with this shock rifle. He's got a shock rifle sword. He's got everything, and he's full sending it at the moment. He wants to assist the team because he saw they were getting aggressive over towards Elevator.
Gotta hit a shot with the shock rifle. You can't finish it with the battle rifle. He's gonna relocate here. And thankfully, Swish is there to finish the kill. And bubu stuck in a tough position here because all of this body shot damage you're doing with the shock rifle, you need a teammate.
He needs a battle rifle
in order to capitalize. This sword can be so influential. If you are able to transfer over A, he's going to be able to do just that. They're able to get B as well, and Roll 2 gets caught by that sword. Does get a melee, and it is SnakeBite that's going to be able to capitalize. They are going to be able to transfer A back into Sentinels' favor, and it's going to be a momentary AC hold now for Sentinels, you would think, but it is G1 coming off respawn that get the advantageous spawns. They're able to transfer over C. In the meantime, LethuL with camo now. We'll see what he can do.
Now, it would say a lot about Sentinels if they were able to win this, because as I said, one of their worst game types, not just from scrims, but at Kansas City as well. They really struggled on Strongholds Recharge. If they have, however, been able to put that practice in from scrims and become better at this, and they could win this game type, then a reverse sweep, I would say, is definitely on the cards. As for G1, try and punish now! As Royal 2 is able to connect with one of the shots. 2 members have gone down, but Squallaye is going to be the last remaining on the side of G1. They are still scoring, however, despite the fact 3 were dead.
Good job by LethuL and crew to finish off Squallaye there, to hop into B now, and gonna continue to score points, trying to make up this deficit, but that trip cap, it was influential. You can't forget about it. You have to figure out a way to dominate the mid game if you want to come back into this one. And 80-45 is the score for now. Sentinels starting to score and finding a couple of kills. This is where they can take a potential lead if they can hold this setup.
3 dead again. 4 G1. Bubu dubu had no shield, but is going to be able to wait and be patient enough for the rest of the team to spawn. Now, Sentinels are doing better at kind of watching each other's angles and pushing together. They've been able to just slow things down a little bit from that kind of frantic start that happened where their backs were very much against the wall, but they've really recovered very successfully. It has to be said, I think a lot of teams would have crumbled after a start like that. We'll see whether they can take the lead here for the first time in the game. Yes, they can.
A and B now for Sentinels. Points starting to score. The matter how big can they build a lead? Can they get comfortable? They need this one to stay in it. Camo's coming up. SnakeBite's late to the party. It is Devin that's able to activate it. Does he get away with his life? The answer is yes. Now what can Devin do now that he's secured Camo? And will Sentinels know which direction he's coming from?
Yeah, you've got to try and get a break here. A and B have been held far too long by Sentinels if you're on the side of G1. You can see Devin reluctant to step into B because that gives away your position, but it looks like he's going to try and make the jump to fight SnakeBite, who was already been put under pressure. But what a trade that is. A very, very important trade that should stop the pressure from G1 very quickly. But it does look like trades elsewhere have gone in favor of G1, and they're going to be able to take A potentially off of Sentinels here.
Oh boy. And the trip cap for now. Frosty opting not to go to C, but to hold BR. That's probably the wise decision, as respawners are going to be able to potentially transfer over C for Sentinels, but as I say that, they lose a couple, and C not yet transferred, and now pressure from Swish from Elevator.
Oh boy.
It's gonna be a sandwich, and all of a sudden, what was looking like a Sentinels lead is immediately erased. The setup is given to G1, the trip cap in effect once again, and now the rotation to Elevator is one Sentinels need to stop.
They still got the trip cap. Look at those points chunking up. B now is going to be contested by Sentinels, but SnakeBite's under pressure. If he goes down, this point is still going to rack up. Okay, thankfully, he was able to get the stop. Otherwise, that could have been very detrimental for Sentinels indeed. But now B, once again, being put in by G1 here. And they're in such a good phase right now. This is such a good passage of play for G1. They have got so many points on the board.
SnakeBite has to kill Squallaye. He does just that. 3 go down, and it was Chaos bottom Elevator, but Sentinels find a way to get the sways. They get out of the trip cap. Damage has been done, though, Dan. It's a 30-point lead for G1.
And that's the difference between just holding 2 and pushing for that trip cap. If you can do it successfully, you really destroy that scoreboard with points. And it's not just happened once, it's happened twice here for G1, and that's why they still have the lead. Granted, Sentinels are slowly getting back into it again, but if we see it happen once more, you feel like this could be the end of this series. LethuL trying to get aggressive and trying to finish off that damage, which he does, but Frosty is going to be the last player alive.
They are going to change leads once again, but as I say that, a couple of members from Sentinels go down. The last 2 members stuck over towards Elevator, and this Camo gets hit by a nade. That's so unfortunate, but a great job from Sentinels to get Swish off the map with that Camo. Squallaye is going to have that shock rifle with the setup now, and B and C in control of G1.
It's unfortunate, but as the Camo player there, he just put his body on the line to keep Squallaye alive. Squallaye, who got B, was able to help G1 score here, and now he's rewarded with a shock rifle as well. So it could all be worth it from Swish. A very selfless play, but now you've got to hit the shots with the shock. Does not do so, but at least there's the trade.
The trade comes through, and it's always going to benefit the team with 2 strongholds now. So G1 continuing to score. Lead up to about 30 now, and LethuL trying to pressure this Pipe's locations. Needs to find a kill under Dev. He gets the kill, but can't get into Stronghold with SnakeBite for now, and it's perfect shots from Swish as we point to his screen. They're going to lose A, they're going to get the reset onto B, and it's going to be once again a trip cap opportunity for G1.
Oh dear, oh dear. If we do not see a quick recovery here from Sentinels, this could be the end, and G1 will be going into that grand final. They are scoring so much, and again, there's a lot of pressure here on Frosty. Swish takes the kill, and he takes the fight versus LethuL. What an important kill, though, that could be for LethuL to stop that pressure from mounting, but still the scoring is happening for G1.
You stop some of the pressure, but look at the score, 230 and climbing. The trip cap still in effect. World2 is able to get B. LethuL picks up a big kill to get into the Elevator. They're going to stop scoring momentarily, but it's almost perfect Halo from here on out required from Sentinels to push this series to a Game 4.
G1 are on the verge of history, being in their first ever grand final in HCS competition. They are taking A, they are taking B, they are putting everything forward that they can. If Swish can grab it and get this kill, they will start scoring once more. Sentinels, what have you got left in the tank to try and recover this one?
Here comes Royal 2, he gets the kill on the elevator, needs to get into the stronghold, but decides to slay in this situation. You gotta stop the points from gaining 248 now, and bubu gets the kill. Can he get the reset? The team is there to get the reset. In the meantime, though, Dan C being transferred over to Sentinels. In the meantime, B being transferred over to G1. Sentinels continue to have to rotate.
Oh, and there we have it. G1 will be in the grand final. Sentinels are 3-0'd by this wild card that everyone knew had the potential to disrupt this tournament. The train started right at the start of pool play when G1, everyone was saying, hey, they are the real deal. These scrim results actually mean something, and now suddenly they've 3-0'd Sentinels and they are in a grand final against Optic Gaming.
And it's the time and work that these guys have put in to get them to this moment, right? Day in, day out, these guys are going over film. They're very public about their practice. They're preaching how they're going about their methods. And the second that this team has formed, they've had one goal, and it is to be able to put a championship on their trophy. And it's an online super, but this would still be a massive accomplishment to take this thing home. And I'm not quite sure anybody saw them getting this far outside of themselves, but it's all about self-belief in some of these moments. And these guys, you can tell how confident they play, they believe.
I think they believe that not only can they continue to get further in this bracket, I think they believe they can win this whole thing.
Absolutely.
And even though Optic is going to be an entirely different beast with how they've performed so far, G1 will now give themselves the best opportunity they can to win a competition so far in their careers. Swish with 20 kills and 5k damage. If he got 50 kills, that would have been someone else. But Swish, I am so impressed with how he's performed. I was impressed back in Pro Series when G1 started to pop off, and it's happening now in a truly competitive environment for a lot of cash on the line.
We could talk about individuals on this team and the plays that they're making all day, right? There's a reason that they continue to advance. They have now beaten Cloud9. They have now beaten Sentinels in their elimination bracket run. I'm not quite sure who's ever been able to say that in the history of Halo, especially as of recent. And the feeling that they have right now as young players early in their careers, creating such upsets, the journey that they're on, this day is something special to remember. And for G1 fans, you hope it's not over yet.
Yeah, you hope that you can now do something in the grand final against Optic, something that no one has been able to do so far this tournament. On the flip side for Sentinels, it is a disappointing end to their tournament, but I think we were well aware that coming into this, Sentinels would have wanted minimum top 3. I do still think they are going to be the team to beat once Orlando comes around and we're back on LAN competition. But what an achievement that is for G1. No one can take that away from them, even if it is online competition, because these guys weren't even expected to push, further than top 4. They've beaten Cloud9, they've beaten Sentinels, and up next is going to be Optic Gaming. What a performance it was from G1.